The most significant thing, the law-based thing that we want to say is, in any moment in time when you're rendezvousing with another, the one who has been focused with the most intensity on a vibrational pattern will sort of dominate the experience. But remember, we said one who's connected to the stream, one who's in alignment with who you really are, is really influential, millions of times more powerful than one who is not. So someone out of the vortex does not even compare in terms of vibration acuity to someone who is. But the question is your focus. In other words, it's easy for someone who is often focused in alignment with source to focus out of alignment. So we're really not even talking about the competition of I'm out of the vortex and I'm winning the energy struggle, and I'm in the vortex and I'm winning the energy struggle. It's not even about that. It's about you and what you are giving your attention to. And you just cannot give your attention to the things that you just verbalized just now without establishing a grid. In fact, this conversation is really helpful to so many, and it is the reason that we were eager to allow you to continue your conversation. But a really good teacher who is really wanting to assist you would stop you in the first words of that and just ask simply, what grid are you establishing? Because as you focus upon someone not having a good time, someone not having good self-esteem, someone not feeling good, or someone really not enjoying you when you are, or someone not enjoying you when you are to the point that you then join them in your out of the vortex. In other words, to be on the same wavelength with someone, you've got to go where they are. And out of your appreciation for your mother, out of your respect for her, out of your wanting to be there for her, sometimes you'll sacrifice your alignment with source in order to be there. So many people sacrifice their alignment with the energy that creates worlds, with the source within them, with that which man calls God. They sacrifice their alignment with that in order to be there for someone, or in order to not be criticized by someone. So once you've got everything in place, in other words, we're not saying to you that you can't be there for your mother and be in alignment just because she's out of alignment. You can. She may not be enjoying the conversation so much. No one likes to hear, you create your own reality when things are not going well. But here is something that will really, really work for you. Let's back up just a little bit. Very often someone will say, I want to feel good, and I often do, until I look at you doing that thing that you're doing, which is keeping me from being in alignment. So you need to stop doing that thing you're doing so that I can be in alignment, which is totally giving over your power to them because you can't control them. And they want to feel better. Don't you think they would feel better if they could? They're not doing it on purpose, you see. And so then as you begin to understand that you have the ability to stay in alignment no matter what they are doing, that you have the ability, but you got to practice it when they're not there. You got to practice it when it's easy. If you will establish your grid before you walk into that situation, then it's easier for you to maintain it. And here is a specific key that will work nearly every time. Go general. In other words, if you're thinking general thoughts about this wonderful woman, this woman who gave birth to you, this woman who cares more about you than life itself, this woman who is at the core so soft and wonderful, this woman who has had a wonderful life and many things that she has felt very good about. In other words, you can be as specific as you are able to be and still feel good. But these are the thoughts that you want to practice. So now what happens is you walk in, and no matter where she is, you are in complete alignment with your grid, your core, and with hers. And the probability of her joining you there is now much greater than ever before. But you can't engage on that other level. That's where people make their first mistake. You go out of the vortex and engage, recognize that you don't feel good, and then try to do something about it. So what are we saying? This is really an important conversation. This is our favorite thing that we've ever said to anyone ever. Ever, 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 ever. Don't try to fill your own grid in. That wasn't it. Our favorite thing that we've ever said ever is, when you align with the energy and the inspiration is pouring forth from you, the probability of them coming into alignment with you is much greater, because you've practiced the vibration in advance. Now here's what we're getting at. This is the statement that we so want you to take away from this gathering. If you will decide that you are going to create your own reality in advance, not in the middle of an out of the vortex moment. And you know, almost all of you are attempting to do the most of your creating in an out of the vortex moment. You wait till something goes wrong and then you say, oh, give me a process. I got to do something. I got to get back into alignment. I got to do something. But it's too late. It's like you've jumped out of an airplane. It's at 50,000 feet. You have no parachute. What do I do? What do I do? Just give it a minute. It'll be over soon. That's what happens. And we really mean that. In other words, just ride it out. Don't try to fix it, because you'll do more damage. And by more damage, that's not the word that we really want Dester to find. You'll do more practicing of a vibration that's going to come back and bite you in the... We don't want her to say that either. If you just chill, just let it play out. Don't fight it. Just let it play out. Don't try to make it a teaching moment. Don't try to make it the moment that you're valiant. Just let it happen, because the grid's already filling in. So that's what we're saying. That's what we're saying. You got a grid going and it's filling in. Just live with it. But set an intention to do better grid work. Better grid work later. We've been calling that pre-paving for years. If you'll do your grid work in advance, you can be thinking about all kinds of things that make you feel good. You gave us a long list of them that don't have anything to do with what's going on with your mother. You're establishing a wonderful grid, you see. And now, when you're not with her, when you're lying in your own bed or thinking about, you're practicing the grid about your mother and about her well-being and about how everything is unfolding just fine. As you practice that vibrational alignment, it will be much easier for her to come into alignment with that with you, you see. Yes. Ooh. We are so happy to have had this conversation. Do your work in advance. We call it pre-paving. Do your grid work in advance, and don't try to fill your own grid in. And as the grid is filling in, just accept it. Yes. Just accept it. So what if you've got a habit? So what if that's the way things have been? So what if that's even the way they've usually been? So what? If your desire is different from that, let the way you feel trump it. In other words, mean more than that. So when you say, I care more about how I feel than about a manifestation this red hot minute, now you've got it figured out. If you mean it. If you mean it. Sometimes it's helpful to have a significant enough thing occur that when you look at it, you just can't stand it, to make you decide or determined that you're going to look somewhere else. In other words, most humans, we love you very much, but if there is something that you do often that we would prefer you not do so often for your own good, it is that you examine what is with such fervor that you slow down what you've asked for, and you don't let it come. Your awareness of what is mostly what's active in your vibration. So you either got to be a really good sifter where you're just looking for things to appreciate in what is, or you've got to be a better visualizer so that you're imagining more of what you want, or a really good meditator where you quiet your mind to deactivate, but you have to do something to slow that momentum. Because law of attraction is going to keep it going. Your vibration is where you last left it on every subject, you see. So unless you decide to do something different with it, it's going to carry on. The question that you want to ask yourself is, am I inviting because my thrill at what's happening is just inspiring this action, or am I inviting from a place of something different from that? And we want to say to you that some of both of that occurs, but that the thing that we want to shine the spotlight on for you is, don't try to fill in your own grid quite so much. And we're giving that to you softly, to all of you, because we know you live in a world where you got stuff you got to do. It's important that you feed your family. See them at the table, children? Just fill in your own grid. There's no food in the house, but fill in your own grid. You might get a little hungry if you all of a sudden withdraw action or behavior from the equation, and that's not what we're encouraging you to do. But we're encouraging you to put more emphasis on the grid, what you want and why you want it, how you feel. More emphasis on the general, how it feels in the seminars, how it feels to offer a piece to someone, the piece that they're looking for. To recognize that it is not one missing piece that everyone is looking for, it's a missing piece for everyone, and the piece keeps shifting for every person in every moment of every day. Because the piece you're looking for isn't the same piece day after day after day after day. And the important thing is, it isn't missing. It's not missing. There is no missing piece. There's only the perspective of a missing piece. And the perspective of the missing piece will keep you from finding that piece, and then that piece, and then that piece, and then that piece, and that piece. But those pieces are all lined up. Oh, you should see the pieces in the vortex. The cooperative pieces in the vortex. They're there. They're ready. The question is, are you? And the answer is maybe and maybe not. So the next question is, well, how can you get ready? And the answer to that is, stop trying so hard to be ready. Stop trying so hard to be ready and accept that you're ready. Accept that you have all the tools right here and now. Because right here and now you have the ability to stop doing that thing you do that is preventing you from seeing the pieces. And what's that thing you do that's stopping you from seeing the pieces? It's keeping something active that keeps you from seeing the pieces. So what's the answer? Always the same. Just slow it down. Do you believe, we're asking all of you this, do you believe that you came into this experience with purpose? And do you believe that you have been effectively, perfectly carving out those desires one by one, or 10 by 10, or 100 by 100? Do you believe that you've been doing that you've been fulfilling your purpose of discovery? And do you believe that you have been setting forth these vibrational requests, and that they do exist in vibrational form, readying themselves for your readying of yourself? Readying themselves for your readying of yourself. Do you believe that? It's logical. So if all of that is true, then isn't it just the most logical thing in the world that this that you've been asking for, which is ready to flow to you when you're ready. It's not going to come before you're ready, because it wouldn't be right if it came before you're ready, because your readiness is a component of it. So isn't it logical that if you could just cease doing the things that prevent your readiness, that you'd be ready? Now that's a new way of looking at it. Stop doing the things that keep you from being ready, and you'll be ready. So what are those things that you're doing that are keeping you from being ready? Noticing that it hasn't happened, comparing yourself to others, trying to find a missing piece when there's no such thing as a missing piece. Don't you want to just move through your day and allow your grid to fill in? Wouldn't it just be nice as you move through your day that the next logical step would just occur, and that you would revel in it as it comes? Wouldn't you like to stop comparing where you stand to this long-range goal? And wouldn't you like to stop beating up on yourself for not being further down the road? Wouldn't you like to revel in where you stand right here and now? These are the things that you're wanting to do. So bask more, meditate more, chill more. So what do you want to say to your class about the missing piece? I got news. It's not missing. There is no missing piece. You just don't know where it is.
Right.
And the reason you don't know where it is because you're looking where it isn't. And the reason you're looking where it isn't is because you're looking through eyes of vulnerability. You're looking through eyes of not enoughness. You're looking through eyes of lack. You're looking too specifically. And then ask them, has inspiration ever come to them? And what were the circumstances? And let them tell you their stories of, I was just walking, wasn't thinking about anything. This idea just came to me. On and on and on, the stories will come. My dog licked my face, and in the middle of the lick, I had knowledge of the workings of the universe. You get the idea. Good enough?